This screencast will be talking about the history and future of plastics and how this particular type of chemistry has changed the world. Now, plastics are used for a variety of different things, which vary from commercial uses, for example, the plastic drinking bottles shown in the title photo, to medical uses such as syringes and IV bags, which are used to administer medicine to patients. Now, before we start, we need to understand exactly what plastics are. Now, plastics are often defined as long-chain polymers, which are molecules with similar units joined together. Now, these polymers can either be natural polymers, such as cellulose, which we also find cellulose in the human body, which plays a large role, or these can be synthetic polymers, such as polyethylene, which we'll actually be talking about later on in the screencast. Now, synthetic polymers are usually longer than natural polymers, and as they're longer, they have more units. So the arrangement of these units in the polymer are what allow plastics to have particular properties such as strong, flexible, and lightweight, as discussed in the screencast. Now, the first synthetic polymer was created by a gentleman named John Wesley Hyatt. Now, this plastics were created as an alternative for ivory. Now, ivory was only obtained in those days by slaughtering elephants, which obviously had a lot of social impact and environmental impact. So John Wesley Hyatt found that by treating cellulose with a compound called camphor, which is also known as root bark oil, that a plastic could be created that could mimic natural substances such as ivory. And so as a result of this, it helped the people who had issues with the killing of these elephants, as well as the environment. And also, this helped with a lot of economic and social constraints. So by creating this synthetic plastic, this allowed a whole new economy to be created. So not only did it provide an alternative to the slaughtering of elephants, it also provided a source of income for the whole world. Now, as previously discussed, polyethylene is an example of a synthetic polymer. Now, polyethylene you find in most plastics. It's usually commonly used in plastic bottles. And there are two types of polyethylene. Now, these are high-density polyethylene and low-density. And both of these polyethylene forms are a result of different ways of forming it. So this is to do with activation energy, the temperature used, and as a result of this, it forms different types of polyethylene. So low density polyethylene you find in the long life bags, which everybody pays 10p for. And we have the high density polyethylene, which are used in general carrier bags. Very, very thin material. We use them also in food storage bags. So polyethylene is just an example of many different polymers that are synthetic, natural, that are used in the formation of plastics. Now, the benefits of plastics are we use plastics worldwide. We have plastics in pretty much everything. So, for example, the TV that you watch has a plastic frame usually. So this has played a huge part in the modern world today. And as quoted, plastics are versatile and cost effective, which it makes them a lot easier to be made and to be mass produced really than obviously materials such as glass. So as also previously discussed, plastics are vary in use from packaging for food as well as packaging for instruments used in medicine. However, what is the future of plastics? Now, as plastics are a big part of today's society, there are concerns regarding the future of plastics. So there are issues with disposal. So there is many campaigns that you'll find of people trying to recycle because different types of plastics can be melted and reformed into another form. It can be used elsewhere. But as most plastics are dumped in landfills, it causes an environmental issue. But also, by having these plastics in these landfills, there is also a health concern. So the decomposing of plastics can release certain gases, but there has also been studies that have found that these degradation of plastics can cause endocrine disruption, which as a result can lead to cancer, immune system suppression, etc. So there is a lot of focus on trying to recycle, on trying to ensure that today we recycle all plastics rather than throwing them in landfills, which again causes an environmental issue and has a negative impact on people's health. So, in summary, we can say that plastics have provided a large economy for today's society, but they have also provided an alternative to a detrimental means of obtaining resources. So, as we've discussed previously, our means of resource was by the slaughtering of elephants for ivory, and plastics have now provided an alternative use for ivory, having the same sort of properties as ivory. But also, plastics can be made from either synthetic or natural polymers, and as a result of this, they all provide various forms of plastics to be used.